Hello, and I am back, and we are on chapter 9, how to use the will. Another word that I use for the will is faith. How to use our faith. I'm actually going to cover chapter 9 and 10. 10 is called further use of the will, and I just found a lot of connections and a really simple message as far as me and my personal life and what I've learned through this. First of all, it really talks a lot about not using our will and our faith and our prayers to try to change other people or against other people or literally anything outside of ourself. This is so powerful if we just get this one simple principle. It says, to set about getting rich in a scientific way, do not try to apply your will to anything outside of yourself. You have no right to do so anyway. The science of getting rich does not require you to apply power or force to any other person in any way whatsoever. You do not need to apply your will to things in order to compel them to come to you. You so not have to compel God either to do good things for you. He's already friendly to us. He already wants more for us than we want for ourselves. And that's also substance, the formless substance. It's God, energy, who we are and what we're made of. To get rich, you only need to use your willpower upon yourself. When you know what to think, so that is important, knowing what to think. When you know what to think and so, then you must use your will to compel yourself to think and do the right things. Holding yourself to the right course. We talked about distractions in the last video. Not allowing all the things around us and in the world to distract us. That's a big piece of these two chapters too. Not being distracted. Not being distracted. I mean, even when it comes to our faith. I mean, the religiousness of going to church could be a distraction. One beautiful, beautiful quote came from this chapter here, and I've got to read this. Keep your mind at home. It can accomplish more there than anywhere else. Keep your mind at home. So, first of all, we've got to bring our mind home. Many of us, I know for me, through many, many years, I didn't even realize, but I didn't even have control of my own mind. I literally thought it was out of my control. I thought somebody else or something outside of me or chemicals in my brain or something else. I truly thought something else was controlling my mind. And the fact is, we have control of our own minds. We have been given that control. Very powerful. So, and here's what we're supposed to do. Use your mind to form a mental image of what you want and to hold that vision with faith and purpose, and use your will to keep your mind working in the right way. And the right way is capitalized here. The right way, which is exactly what this book is giving us. The right way, the certain way, the principles, simple, basic principles. Easy, no, because this is not what most of us learned in school and grew up with. I'm 41 years old, and I feel like I'm learning life all over again. And it is a beautiful thing, but it can also be very challenging, especially if you're worried about what other people think, or if you're concerned that you're going to lose something or someone in your life because your beliefs are changing, or because you realize new knowledge and wisdom that maybe other people around you don't. The picture of your desires, held with faith and purpose, is taken up by the formless, or by God, and permeates it to great distances through the universe. For all I know, for all, not for just one person, not for just me, but for you too. It is, everybody is capable of this certain way. Everybody is capable of getting rich. Everybody is capable. But here's something that this really, really stresses. We cannot be continuing to look at poverty. We cannot be continuing to look at the things that we don't want. We cannot be continuing to look in the rearview mirror. We will only get ourselves into the ditch by doing that. We will only get ourselves into a head-on collision by doing that. We must continue to look forward and to hold that purpose and that vision of what our heart is telling us and continue moving forward. As this impression spreads, all things are set moving toward its realization. And I have found this in my own life. I see where when I start to focus on negative, or when I start to focus on the things that are not positive and are not life-giving and are not purpose and freedom and success, when I start to look at those things and focus on those, more of those things come into my life. More of those things begin to happen. The doubts, the unbelief, more happens, and I find myself coming down. But when I focus on those things, on freedom, on success, on riches, on the richness that I have in my life already, the more that comes to me. And how beautiful is that? Every hour and every moment, we should be focusing on what we want, not what we don't want. And we don't even realize it. I know I didn't even realize that I was doing that. When I would be thinking of my goals or thinking of what I wanted to achieve, I would immediately start talking about what I don't want or what I've been doing that's not getting me there. So it's really important to let the doubt and the fear go, let the worry and the unbelief and the, even sometimes it's just confusion that holds us down and holds us back from achieving success and riches in our life. And we've got to focus on the opposite of that. We've got to focus on health and happy, not disease, not poverty, riches, on our belief and our faith. Here's another quote. Notice how insistent Jesus was upon this point of belief, on believing. And now you know the reason why. Since belief is all important, it behooves you to guard your thoughts. And as your beliefs will be shaped to a very great extent by the things you observe and think about, it is important that you should command your attention. So here's where we want to look, take a good close look at what we believe and why we believe it and where we learned that. Robert Hollis, my mentor, in his book, talks about this. He literally is called How Is That Working? And he asked that question a lot. How do you know that? Where did you learn that? Where does that belief come from? And challenges us to really take a good hard look. And, as I share this content with people and as I share these resources with people, I find that some people don't want to do that. And it's fear. It's fear of, oh no, what if I'm about to learn something that totally changes my life and my paradigm and everything? And yes, it's true. That is what's happening. That is what's going to happen. But it's only beautiful. It's only about moving forward and achieving the true desires and purpose for our life. And who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to grow and move forward and achieve what truly is meant for your life? I know I do. That's why I'm here. So we focus on the cure. We don't focus on the medicine behind the disease. Sorry, I didn't mean that. We don't want to focus on the disease. We want to focus on the cure. And if that be a medicine, okay. If it be a natural, resource like food and your diet, awesome too. Because I know in my health journey, I've achieved a lot of overcoming of disease through simple basic nutrition and what God has given us on this planet to use for our bodies. So I want to encourage you to look in areas that it might not necessarily be coming, but to always be focused on finding a cure and, focus on the health of the matter at hand. Focus on the riches of the situation. Do not be talking about poverty. Don't be dwelling on poverty. This chapter is very specific. It says, do not read books or papers which give circumstantial accounts of the wretchedness of the tenement dwellers, of the horrors of child labor, and so on. Do not read anything which fills your mind with gloomy images of want and suffering. Focusing on those things doesn't help us overcome poverty. It certainly doesn't help us get rich. Studying poverty never helped anybody get rich. You cannot help the poor in the least by knowing about these things. And the widespread knowledge of them does not tend to all to do away with poverty. It absolutely doesn't. It keeps us in poverty, and that's what most of us have been taught to focus on. What tends to do away with poverty is not getting of pictures of poverty into your mind, but getting pictures of wealth into your mind. The poor do not need charity. This is very powerful. The poor do not need charity. This really moved me because I was always a very charitable person. I've always been one to really give and to be charitable because I really thought that was the best. I thought that's the only thing I could do. Write a check to this person if they need money to pay their bills. Help this person buy the food that they need to feed their kids. I've done it my whole life. Some periods of my life, some seasons, I've put myself in debt because I've given money away to so many people seeking charity that I didn't even have it left over for myself. And that is not what our purpose is. Our purpose is to inspire them to achieve their own level of riches and success so they can do these things for themselves. Inspiration will cause them to rise out of their misery. If you want to help the poor, demonstrate to them that they can become rich too. Prove it by getting rich yourself. People must be taught to become rich by creation. This is another big subject here, not by competition. So if we are getting rich in ways that we cannot help somebody else to achieve the same thing, we are in competition. The creative mind is a big principle that this teaches us, and exactly what we are doing with this book. And don't worry, you are not showing hardness of heart. You are not being insensitive if you're not giving charity. Keep your mind fixed on faith and on the purpose of your life. Develop your muscle of faith. My mentor said that, and that just really I've always been I've always had an interest in health and fitness and in physical health and being physically fit. And when you think of developing your faith muscle, it's probably more powerful than any other muscle in your body, to be honest. In this next, so in chapter 10, I'm just looking through the chapter as I'm covering this stuff. I just talked about not looking at poverty, not studying it. Now it talks about not speaking about it, not even talking about it. Maybe I came from family history of low income, or maybe you had severe poverty in your history. But this tells us to not even talk about that, because that is not where we're headed, unless it's where you want to head. Otherwise, speak life, speak riches, speak abundance, speak what our purpose is, to grow our riches, to grow out of our poverty in all areas. I love this quote here. The world is not going to the devil. It is going to God. That was very, very powerful for me. It is wonderful becoming. Give your attention wholly to riches. Ignore poverty. Again, don't focus on what you don't want. Focus on what you do want. Yes, there are horrible things happening in countries, and there are horrible, there always will be. We've got to focus on the good and not get trapped and caught in looking back and looking back and looking back. Give inspiration. That is what our purpose is. To find a way out and then to offer to others that way out. To become really rich is the noblest aim you can have in life, for it includes everything else. You've probably heard the quote that money only makes us more of what we already are. So if you've got a heart of contribution and of helping, then getting rich is only going to help you contribute and give more. There are those that need help. There are children that have no control of their environment. There are children that have no parents and to love them and food to eat. That's where we can give and contribute. Not to 40-year-olds that aren't paying their bills. Another beautiful quote. All that is possible in the way of greatness and soul unfoldment, of service and lofty endeavor, comes by way of getting rich. All is made possible by the use of things. And if you think about it, it's so true. Nobody ever was a great photographer without a great camera. No parents were ever great parents without giving their children food to eat and a home to live in and warm clothing in the winter. This chapter even goes into talking that physical health, moral and spiritual greatness even, is possible only to those who are above the competitive battle of existence, and only those who are becoming rich on the plane of creative thought are free from the degrading influence of competition. That physical health can even be influenced by being rich. Focus forward. Focus on the underlying truth of all things. And if we don't know what the underlying truth is, focus on finding it. Focus on learning and increasing your wisdom to know what the underlying truth is of things, where you learned something, why you believe something. Some people remain in poverty because they are ignorant of the fact that there is wealth for them. And here's where sharing this content material is so valuable, because we are the resource to let the world know that they are capable, that we are miracles capable of achieving anything the next person achieved. Arousing their desire by showing them the happiness that comes from being rightly rich. So demonstrate the rich life that you are living to the world around you, even those that are poor and in poverty, because that is the inspiration they need to increase their own faith and their own inspiration. And this is obviously my favorite of all. You see this on all my pages. The very best thing you can do for the whole world is to make the most of yourself. And that is why I am here, friends, because I do believe this has happened and is happening every day in my life. And I want it for you, and I want what I want for myself, I want for the whole world. And that is why I'm here. You know, there is also an explanation behind the certain way. And I do believe that it comes in this chapter here. There is only one way to think scientifically, and that is to think in the way that leads by the most direct and simple route to the goal. No man has yet formulated a briefer or less complex system than the one set forth here. It has been stripped of all non-essentials. When you commence on this, lay all others aside and put them out of your mind altogether. So in other words, this is the simplest way. This is the most basic and simplest way, the most simplest system to follow. Read only the most optimistic comments on the world's news, those in harmony with your picture. I talked about the news and that I don't watch the news or TV even. And this is why, because none of it is, much of it is not in harmony with my picture and what my soul resonates with. So I choose to just stay away from it. And, you know, I want to inspire you too to do that, but to know why. To know why. You know, we can't simply ask something of ourselves or simply ask something of God. Even if we ask repetitively, we must put the certain way into action. We must put the principles into action and the steps that we need to take to get to our goals and visions and the purpose that we have in our heart. We can't simply just ask ourselves of it or ask it of God. We've got to do the work. So I'm here to inspire you and to share resources and tools to help you do this in your life as well. And I'm going to end with reading this from this chapter. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner spaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces is capitalized, the thing that is imaged by the thought. Thoughts bring about an image and bring about reality. Man can form things in his thought, and by impressing his thought upon formless substance, or God, creation, the universe, can cause the thing he thinks about to be created. In order to do this, man must pass from the competitive to the creative mind. He must form a clear mental picture of the things he wants and hold this picture in his thoughts with the fixed purpose to get what he wants, and the unwavering faith that he does get what he wants, closing his mind against all that may tend to shake his purpose, dim his vision, or quench his faith. This is living and acting in a certain way. It's not being distracted. It's not allowing, this is so powerful, anything to shake our purpose, dim your vision, or quench your faith. And when you come to the awareness that it's happening, acknowledge it, remove yourself from the situation, whatever it is, and choose not to put yourself back there. Maybe it's an environment, maybe it's certain people. You know, in my life, I had to remove myself from a lot of situations that on the outside and to people seemed perfectly fine. But to me and my heart and my faith and for my purpose and my vision and my faith did not align. And I had to make some difficult choices, and I know you will too, and I know you probably already are. And I want to encourage you that the benefits and the blessings of doing that are so great beyond measure, are so great and so beyond what we can physically see, and so worth it. So continue tuning in. Thank you so much for being here. I'm just blessed to be here and to provide this wisdom to you. And I hope that you would let me know how you're doing and reach out to me. And we'll talk soon. Bye.